If your cholesterol stayed high even after you stopped eating eggs, there is something important you need to hear. You may have removed the wrong foods while overlooking the ones that could make the biggest difference. Because lowering LDL cholesterol is not only about eating less cholesterol, it is also about eating more of the right kind of fiber, replacing harmful fats with healthier ones, and helping your body remove cholesterol instead of continuously circulating it. And after age 60, this matters more than ever. High LDL cholesterol usually causes no pain, no warning, and no obvious symptoms. But over time, it can contribute to plaque building inside the arteries supplying your heart and brain. The encouraging news is that certain ordinary foods can help, not rare supplements, not expensive powders, and not a diet that leaves you hungry. In this video, I'll show you 7 foods that can support healthier LDL levels, the best way to eat each one, and the common breakfast mistake that can quietly cancel out much of your progress. Stay with me until the end because I'll also give you a simple 1-day cholesterol lowering meal plan you can begin tomorrow morning. I'm Dr. Richard, and if you want practical, science-informed guidance for staying strong and independent after 60, subscribe and turn on notifications. Now, let's begin with the first food. Food number 1. Oats. Oats deserve to be first because they contain a special type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan. When beta-glucan mixes with liquid inside your digestive system, it forms a thick gel. That gel can reduce the absorption of some cholesterol and bile acids in your intestines. Your body then has to use cholesterol to replace the bile acids that were removed. Over time, this can help bring LDL cholesterol down. But here is where many people make a mistake. They buy flavored instant oatmeal filled with added sugar, artificial flavoring, and sweetened toppings. The oats may be helpful, but the rest of the bowl can turn breakfast into dessert. Choose plain rolled oats, steel-cut oats, or oat bran instead. Cook them with water or unsweetened milk, then add berries, cinnamon, and a spoonful of ground flaxseed. If you prefer a savory breakfast, cook oats with vegetables and add black pepper, herbs, or a small amount of olive oil. The goal is not to eat oatmeal once and expect a dramatic change. The benefit comes from consistency. Think of oats as a daily tool, not an occasional treatment. Food number 2. Beans and lentils. Beans may be one of the most underestimated heart foods in the supermarket. Black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, navy beans, and lentils all provide fiber and plant protein. This combination gives you 2 benefits. First, their soluble fiber can help reduce cholesterol absorption. Second, beans can replace foods that are higher in saturated fat, including processed meats and fatty cuts of meat. That replacement is important. Adding beans to a meal while keeping every other part of your diet unchanged may help a little. But replacing a sausage, burger, or fatty piece of meat with beans can have a much larger effect on the overall meal. Begin with approximately half a cup. Add beans to soup, salad, or chili, or serve lentils beside roasted vegetables. Canned beans are perfectly acceptable. Choose a lower sodium variety when possible. Drain them and rinse them thoroughly. If beans cause gas, do not assume your body cannot tolerate them. Start with a smaller amount and increase it gradually. A sudden increase in fiber can cause bloating, especially if your usual diet contains very little fiber. Also remember to drink enough water. Here is a useful challenge. Replace meat with beans or lentils for 2 dinners this week. If you can do that consistently, you are already changing the nutritional pattern of your diet. Food number 3. Apples and pears. An apple is not a miracle treatment, but it contains something your arteries may appreciate. Pectin. Pectin is a type of soluble fiber found in apples, pears, and several other fruits. The important word, however, is whole. Apple juice does not provide the same fiber benefit as eating an apple. Many juices also deliver sugar quickly without making you feel full. Applesauce may contain less intact fiber and can have added sugar. Eat the whole fruit and keep the edible skin unless you have been advised otherwise. Pair an apple or pear with a small handful of unsalted nuts. The fiber from the fruit and healthy fat from the nuts can make the snack more satisfying. This can help you avoid biscuits, cakes, and packaged snacks that often contain added sugar, refined flour, or saturated fat. And that brings us to an important principle. The value of a heart-healthy food is not only what it adds, it is also what it replaces. If an apple replaces a sugary pastry, the difference between those two choices becomes meaningful over time. If you are finding these practical swaps useful, comment with the word heart. I'd love to know how many people in our community are working on their cholesterol right now. Food number 4, ground flaxseed. Flaxseed contains soluble fiber, plant-based omega-3 fat, and natural plant compounds called lignans, but you need to eat it in the correct form. Whole flax seeds can pass through the digestive system without being fully broken down. Grinding them makes their nutrients more available. Purchase ground flaxseed or grind whole seeds at home. Store it in a sealed container in the refrigerator so its oils remain fresh. Start with 1 tablespoon a day. You can gradually increase to 2 tablespoons if you tolerate it well. Mix it into plain yogurt, oatmeal, or a smoothie. You can also stir it into soup after cooking. Do not swallow dry spoonfuls of flaxseed, and drink sufficient fluid as you increase your fiber intake. If you take medication, particularly blood-thinning medicine, or if you have difficulty swallowing or a bowel condition, ask your healthcare professional before making a major increase in concentrated fiber. Flaxseed is helpful, but it is not an excuse to ignore the rest of your eating pattern. One healthy ingredient cannot repair a diet dominated by processed food. Food. Number 5. Walnuts. People are sometimes told that all fat is bad for cholesterol. That is not correct. The type of fat matters. Saturated fat, found in foods such as fatty processed meats, butter, and many pastries, can raise LDL cholesterol. Unsaturated fats, found in nuts, seeds, olive oil, avocado, and fish, are generally better choices, especially when they replace saturated fat. Walnuts contain polyunsaturated fat, including a plant form of omega-3 called ALA. A small handful can be a heart-friendly snack. But portion size matters because nuts are calorie-dense. You do not need half a bag. Around 1 small handful is enough for most people. Choose raw or dry roasted, unsalted walnuts rather than nuts covered in sugar, chocolate, or large amounts of salt. Almonds, pistachios, and pecans can also be useful. The best nut is usually the unsalted one you enjoy enough to eat consistently in a sensible portion. Try replacing crisps or biscuits with a small handful of nuts 3 or 4 times this week. That is a realistic change you can maintain. Food number 6. Barley oats receive most of the attention, but barley contains the same valuable type of soluble fiber, beta-glucan. Barley can replace refined grains that contain relatively little fiber. Use it instead of white rice in a soup, stew, or grain bowl. Its chewy texture also makes meals feel substantial, which can help with fullness. Look for hulled barley when available because it retains more of the grain. Pearled barley has had more of its outer layers removed, but it can still contribute useful fiber and is often easier to find and quicker to cook. Here is a practical way to use it. Cook a batch once, refrigerate it, and add portions to meals throughout the week. Mix it with roasted vegetables, chickpeas, herbs, and a little olive oil. Now you have fiber, plant protein, and unsaturated fat in the same meal. That combination is far more useful than searching for one supposedly magical food. Food number 7. Vegetables, especially okra, eggplant, and Brussels sprouts. Most vegetables support heart health, but certain vegetables are particularly useful when you are trying to increase soluble fiber. Okra becomes slightly thick when cooked because of its soluble fiber. Eggplant provides fiber and works well as a replacement for heavier ingredients in curries, stews, and baked dishes. Brussels sprouts provide fiber along with a wide range of vitamins and plant compounds. Carrots, broccoli, sweet potatoes, and green beans are also good choices. Do not ruin vegetables by drowning them in butter, cream sauce, or cheese. Steam, roast, grill, or lightly saute them with herbs, spices, and a modest amount of olive oil. Try to let vegetables cover close to half your plate. This naturally leaves less room for refined starch and large portions of fatty meat without forcing you to count every calorie. If this video is giving you a clearer way to eat for your heart, tap the like button. It helps more people over 60 find this information. The breakfast mistake that can cancel your progress. Now let's discuss the breakfast mistake I mentioned earlier. It is adding a healthy food without removing the unhealthy extras around it. For example, someone may eat a small bowl of oats but add several spoonfuls of brown sugar, cream, and butter. Another person adds ground flaxseed to a breakfast that also includes processed sausage, fried bread, and a sugary drink. The heart-healthy food is present, but the total meal is still working against the goal. Instead of asking, "What superfood should I add?" ask a better question. What can this healthy food replace? Let oats replace sugary cereal. Let beans replace processed meat. Let walnuts replace biscuits. Let fruit replace dessert. Let olive oil replace butter in suitable meals. Those substitutions are where meaningful progress begins. The 3-part cholesterol plate. You do not have to remember dozens of rules. At lunch and dinner, build what I call the 3-part cholesterol plate. Part 1 is vegetables. Aim for roughly half the plate. Part 2 is a high-fiber carbohydrate or plant protein. This might be beans, lentils, barley, or another intact whole grain. Part 3 is a sensible serving of healthy protein. That could be fish, skinless poultry, tofu, or additional legumes. Then use small amounts of unsaturated fat, such as olive oil, nuts, or seeds, instead of relying heavily on butter, cream, and fatty meat. This pattern gives you fiber while reducing the amount of saturated fat in the same meal. A simple one-day plan. Here is how this could look in real life. For breakfast, have plain oatmeal topped with berries and 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed. For a morning snack, eat an apple or pear. At lunch, have lentil and vegetable soup with a side salad dressed with olive oil and lemon. For an afternoon snack, choose a small handful of unsalted walnuts. At dinner, eat grilled fish or tofu with barley and 2 different vegetables. This is not a starvation diet. It is not built around unusual ingredients, and you do not have to follow it perfectly. The goal is to repeat the basic pattern often enough that it becomes normal. How quickly can your cholesterol change? Some people may see improvement within several weeks, but the amount and speed vary considerably. Your starting cholesterol, genetics, medications, body weight, activity, smoking status, and overall diet all affect the result. That is why you should not promise yourself a specific number after eating one particular food. Instead, follow a consistent pattern and ask your healthcare professional when your cholesterol should be checked again. Do not stop a statin or change its dose without speaking with the clinician who prescribed it. Food and medication are not enemies. For some people, lifestyle changes may be enough to produce a meaningful improvement. Others need medication because their cardiovascular risk or genetic cholesterol level is too high to manage with diet alone. If LDL cholesterol is extremely high or several close relatives experienced early heart attacks, ask your doctor whether familial hypercholesterolemia or another inherited risk could be involved. The 30-Day Heart Challenge. Here is my challenge for you. For the next 30 days, choose 3 habits. Eat plain oats or another high-fiber breakfast most mornings. Eat beans or lentils at least 4 times each week. Replace one processed snack each day with whole fruit or a small handful of unsalted nuts. You can then add barley, flaxseed, and more vegetables as the habits become easier. Do not try to transform every meal overnight. A plan that lasts is more valuable than a perfect diet you abandon after 4 days. High cholesterol is not a personal failure. Your liver, genetics, age, health conditions, and lifestyle can all influence your numbers. But your daily choices still matter. The most effective cholesterol-friendly diet is not built around fear of one food. It is built around a repeated pattern: more soluble fiber, more whole plant foods, more unsaturated fat in place of saturated fat, and fewer heavily processed foods. If you change only one meal tomorrow, begin with breakfast. Prepare plain oatmeal, add ground flaxseed and berries, and leave out the sugary packet. That single bowl will not transform your cholesterol overnight, but it can become the first brick in a pattern that protects your heart for years. Subscribe to the channel for more practical health guidance after 60, and tell me in the comments which of these 7 foods you will start eating first. Take good care of yourself and take good care of the heart that has carried you this far.